few supercapacitors, which each of supercapacitor will have different carbon. What this means is that one supercapacitor will have some good quality carbon. This carbon is some activated carbon, which has the surface area of around 2,000 square meters per gram. And the second supercapacitor will have some low quality carbon. And this carbon is actually made from some charcoal briquette. And the surface area of this carbon is unknown. I actually don't know what is the surface area of this charcoal briquette carbon. And that I and you will know what performance I will get with each supercapacitor. For this reason, I need to make some basic supercapacitor to test it. And let's do it. The design of each supercapacitor will be really simple. And actually, for the current collectors, I will use these two graphite plates. The separators will be made from some toilet paper. And each supercapacitor will have one of these carbons, and the electrolyte is this. This electrolyte, which I have here, is made from 50 milliliters of water, and into this 50 milliliters of water, I add 7.1 gram of sodium sulfate. And on the top, I also put 0.
I want to talk quickly about a couple of terms that are used quite often interchangeably and often incorrectly. The reason I'm getting picky is because it changes how we use them, it changes how we process them, and it changes how we look at them. The terms are carbon, graphite, and graphene. Carbon is an element. It is composed of a certain atomic configuration. Now, carbon can be naturally found in nature in 3 different forms. One of them is diamond with a crystalline structure. Not going to worry about that one. The next one is graphite. Graphite has more of a honeycomb structure, and it comes in layers, and those layers can be very important to us. Finally is amorphous carbon, which is found in like coal and charcoal. This has no specific crystalline structure. Now, carbon, amorphous carbon, you find in things like the activated carbon for a fish tank, where they typically come from coconut shells that have been processed and burned and processed into this activated carbon. And then there is graphite, which is typically dug out of the ground and comes naturally occurring in these marvelous layers that are so important. The layers are important because of the third term, graphene. Graphene is a 1-atom thick part of graphite, a 1-atom thick piece of graphite, if you will, that has special properties, that has very specific properties. It's incredibly strong. It's stronger than diamond in the right direction. It is incredibly conductive electrically. And there's marvelous things that people are even now continuing to find more and more things that they can do with it. It has been very difficult to make, but Robert Murray Smith has come up with a couple of ways, and one in particular that seems like it's especially easy, even for someone like me in a home or school laboratory. So we're going to be dealing with each of these elements separately, each of these materials separately, I should say. We'll have carbon, and some of it will be like the activated carbon from the charcoals. We will have graphite, and we will have graphene, and we'll be processing these separately. Now, I don't want to get too picky about graphene. Sometimes people talk about multi-layer graphene. Technically, that might not be able to be called graphene if it has more than one layer. It's good enough. It's fine with me. If you refer to something as that has 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 100 layers as multi-layer graphene, it's just a slice of graphite, if you will, but I understand where people are going. They're talking, it's a way of talking about how close it is to pure one-atom thick graphene. And indeed, I suspect a lot of the materials we will be using and calling graphene will actually be multi-layer graphene in the sense that we may not purify it all the way down to one atom thick in all cases. So I just wanted to make that clear. We're going to be careful about that as we go on through the experiments, and I thank you for your time.
Because that account was paperless. No statements related to that home equity line of credit were going to be mailed to his house. So Michael Cohen's wife was never going to see some inexplicable $130,000 payment on a statement and question him as to what he was up to. Now we know. Also, why, when the reimbursement was made to Michael Cohen for him paying for Stormy Daniels' hush money, why did that include not just the Stormy Daniels reimbursement, but a bunch of money for a bunch of other things? Well, we learned today that this was going to be the last money Michael Cohen ever received from the Trump Organization. In these payments, they included everything he was owed. They were zeroing him out. He was leaving the company. And why was he doing that? Because if Michael Cohen was still a Trump Organization employee like he had been, it wouldn't make sense for him to be getting checks as a retainer for legal services. He would just be getting a salary like he had been for years before. So instead, Cohen leaves the Trump Organization, becomes the personal attorney to the president, which makes the legal retainer checks look like that was how Trump was paying for Cohen's services as his personal attorney. In reality, Cohen was never paid anything for being personal attorney to the president. That's just what they called it. That's just what they called him, so it wouldn't look so weird that Trump was paying him $35,000 checks every month. Oh, now that makes sense. Also, why did prosecutors go out of their way to point out that Ben Roethlisberger, the former Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, had been at the golf event with Donald Trump at the time of the Trump-Stormy Daniels alleged sexual encounter? Now we know. Contrary to Trump's denials that he had sex with Stormy Daniels, Michael Cohen testified today that when he asked Donald Trump if anything had happened between him and Stormy Daniels, Trump bragged to Michael Cohen that, yeah, even though he was there at this golf event with Big Ben Roethlisberger, the women there, like Stormy Daniels, they wanted him more than they wanted Big Ben. All the little mysteries that have popped up over the course of us learning about this scandal, all the little mysteries that have popped up are inexplicable sort of sidebars and detours that we didn't necessarily understand as the prosecution has laid out its case thus far. Michael Cohen today provided the all-is-revealed scene in this detective story, tying up the loose ends, filling in the gaps in the story, and yes, bringing us to the main event, the big whodunit. Michael Cohen, longtime lawyer, enforcer, bully, quote-unquote fixer for former President Donald Trump, the man who, in the mob analogy, was not so much the hitman as he was the underboss, the man who testified today about, for example, telling suppliers and contractors and vendors to Trump University that they would get 20% of what they invoiced Trump University for, or they'd get nothing and they'd like it. Michael Cohen gave testimony today that Donald Trump was in the room where it happened, in the worst possible way.
In this episode, we're taking on one of the largest explorations we've ever attempted. Over the course of 2 days, we'll traverse more than 20 miles in the sprawling tunnels of this abandoned iron mine. Join us on this exciting adventure. Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. Start your free trial today at squarespace.com/properpeople and use the code properpeople to get 10% off your first purchase.
Some type of warning sign down there. That's probably, oh yeah, that's it right there. You can go in right here. We're about to go into the mine, and then this music starts playing. It's freaking dry. Sounds like someone walking through the woods, playing an instrument. Who does that? It's getting louder. We should get in before someone shows up here.
The music felt as if it was some kind of an omen. Whether it was good or bad, well, we'd find out.
Stuff growing out of this rock.
The mine is located in a heavily industrialized region of Europe, and the iron ore extracted here would have been used to feed nearby steel mills. What we're venturing into now is actually a network of different mines, all interconnected and dating anywhere from 30 to 150 years old.
That goes up to another flat. Yeah. Right in front of you. Oh. So slippery. There's a collapse there, and there are arrows on the wall on either side. That's where we are now. So it's going to get way crazier as we go on. Okay, when we get to this fork, I'll add to the map. Oh, that's nasty. You can still see daylight out there. We've got a number 19 here. That'll be useful on our way out. So this is pretty long. And now comes in each direction. And on this wall here we have 19. And then make sure we know which way we go after this split. Make like a dotted path. What if we retrace our steps and that's going to get crazy? Just do it at each turn. Just do like spaced out dots. It's so foggy. It's just humid. So your warm breath and it's cold in here. Instantly turns to mist. Looks like something happens up here. Some kind of a split.
Zigzags represent that was like a long walk. And we come here, and I'm going to see the angles. So that's like a slight angle, and these two on like a V. This one's a straight line. Yeah. And one that went here. And then one that kept going straight. And then right here we have S. And a moment later, we have yet another split. Sure. I think I spot another fork. It's like constant forks. Which is great for exploration. We have to keep pulling out the map every 2 seconds to update it. It is in a jacket pocket. Yeah. No, I'm not going down here. I'm just seeing what this random rail is here. Is that rail? Oh shit. There's another floor.
No, this is water.
There's another floor up there with this rail.
Yeah, but people are collapsing in that floor.
Yeah. No Wi-Fi down here.
No cellular service at all either. Well, obviously, you're talking about Wi-Fi.
It ran an extension cord in here. I don't know. I was just turning off Wi-Fi to save battery.
Yeah, you on airplane mode?
Airplane mode on, the Wi-Fi on also.
Okay.
I just turn off everything.
Because searching for service uses even more battery. Another fork, by the way.
Yeah. If we go down left, we can stay on this map a little bit longer.
Okay, let's go left. Okay. So we don't have to change the page.
Here's where we came in at. 2 connects to that too. Page 1 here.
Wait, there was another one that came.
1 goes to 3. And then 3 should go to page 2 here.
This is where I started to map out a lot of splits.
We went to page 4. Now on page 4. And we're almost off this page too. Let's go down here though. This part of the mine was starting to get repetitive. All the tunnels on the left side branched off at 45 degrees, and all the tunnels on the right side branched off at 90. Of the branches we explored, they all dead-ended at various distances. Fortunately, we were nearing the end of this tunnel. I think we're finally at the end of this tunnel here. Yeah. There's a lot of wood right there. And there's a 21. Let's see what this is. Goes up to nothing. Just a little up area. Yeah. I had a feeling this tunnel wasn't going to go anywhere. It looked like a side branch with more side branches on it the whole way. Don't get too close. Is there a ladder? Or anything? No. That's a fuck note of information. That's a hell no. Okay, this kind of opens up. Wait, there's like a grate here. Okay, that's a shaft. Or is it? No, it just goes down the floor.
Yeah.
And there's a ladder over there.
There's a ladder. So we're in the right direction. More shit.
This grating is actually made of rails. Larger rails and then the smaller minecart rails. Yeah, this looks like a good main tunnel to be in. With a pipe and tower. Who wants to go down this ladder first? We'll oversight gloves. Yeah, I'm sure the ladder's fine. It's just disgusting. Covered in mud.
One touch of the ladder did that. I grabbed it once.
I wanted to buy gloves.
You wanted to buy gloves when we already parked to come in here.
Hey, that's not too late. It's never too late.
Alright, any more light?
Leaders of Scientology, we are anonymous. Over the years, we have been watching you, your campaigns of misinformation, your suppression of dissent, your litigious nature. All of these things have caught eye, with the leakage of your latest propaganda video into mainstream circulation. The extent of your malign influence over those who have come to trust you as leaders has been made clear to us. Anonymous has therefore decided that your organization should be destroyed.
January 15, 2008, just days prior to Anonymous declaring their war, a 9-minute interview with Tom Cruise leaked, in which he discussed an active role in the controversial organization known as Scientology. This leaked video was recorded for internal use for the eyes of Scientology members only. According to Gawker, who hosted the file where other sites would not, it was a video of indoctrination. This interview, as well as other videos that happened to leak, were very quickly suppressed by the church, attempting to censor the freedom of information. This is exactly when Anonymous took notice and declared their war, ending with the now well-known sign-off for the shadowy organization.
We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.
Little did or could anybody know, this was the start of a reign of terror that lasted for 5 years. Anonymous became the perfect cloak under which to hide for any and all that wished to participate in digital anarchy. Some who did it just for the lulz, some who did it to send a message. One particular group rose from these ashes like a phoenix. Where it all started with Scientology, they would go on to hack some of the largest corporations on the planet, going toe-to-toe with federal government, and left a legacy of pure chaos. This is the rise of Anonymous and their war with Scientology. Prior to these events, Anonymous existed only in the minds of those who frequented the more edgy areas of the internet.
Who is this 4chan person or website?
Prior to 2008, where they did organize briefly, there was no structure, there was no goal. It was simply a collective name that people used while doing things to fuck with others. Showing up to video games with identical characters and being disruptive.
I actually have HIV, and
You were in the pool, like, right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Prank calling early internet TV shows.
I'm Dion. Can you do a barrel roll for me?
A barrel roll?
Yeah, a barrel roll. On air.
Defacing public websites and posting the results to the growing image board of anonymous users known as 4chan. It was all just a way to have fun on the internet. After January 15th, though, someone decided it was time for a change. A post appeared claiming that it was time for B, the term for the random section of the image board, to do something big. That big thing was to take down Scientology. The comment section of this post was full of people mocking the concept. A random image board cannot take down a pseudo-religion with the backing of wealthy people and an army of lawyers, said one poster. And yet, as the thread remained, it filled with more and more people who agreed. And trying to take down this pseudo-religion was exactly what they started to do. It all began with an IRC channel. Hundreds of users flooded in, speaking excitedly about the plans that they'd been thinking up. It was all going to start simple. Use popular stress testing websites to perform distributed denial of service attacks on the Scientology website. A DDoS or DDoS, as it's more commonly known, essentially harnessing massive amounts of connections, sending data to a server in order to temporarily overwhelm the provider and deny regular service, usually knocking them offline for short periods of time. This very quickly became the largest raid in 4chan history, bringing old users of the website back to participate and sparking a feel of mob mentality. Eventually, leaders started to emerge, not in the traditional sense because nobody would listen to an actual leader, but they were the ones putting forth ideas and rounding people up to do things. This is how the eventual anonymous war declaration video was created. A single man's idea, but worked on as a collective, where they would sit and laugh about how over the top it was, knowing full well that things were not going to go much further than what they always did. Just a bit of light trolling, a little bit of DDoSing, and then people would get bored and move on. But not this time. Even the organisers had no idea how far-reaching this movement was going to be. Mainstream publications picked up on the video declaring war against Scientology, and the hundreds of IRC users turned to thousands overnight. The mainstream news talking about this had essentially signal boosted what was initially going to be somewhat of a joke. The result was, ironically, the IRC servers being used by Anonymous being DDoSed with real traffic from all the new recruits who were joining by the minute. They'd heard that Anonymous was going after Scientology, and they wanted to be involved. At this point, they eventually had to split the IRC into multiple servers due to the sheer scale of what was now known as Operation Chanology. Leadership still didn't exist in any traditional sense, but there were more reputable and organised channels who would hash out the next steps, which for now was limited to figuring out which of the several DDoS tools to use and on which specific Scientology websites, as well as marketing, which meant essentially creating memes. The first big blow was struck on January 19, where Anonymous managed to collectively bring down the Scientology main website entirely, which again caught the attention of Sky and Fox News, who in their uninformed, sensational, and laughably boom away called this group super hackers. In reality, very few people of the thousands involved had even a remote concept of how to hack anything. They were essentially just running the program they were told to use, and that was that. Either way, the first blow had been struck, and Scientology was now responding. They talked in interviews with the media about how the hackers were cyber terrorists who were performing hate crimes against religious groups. They also employed a cybersecurity company to assist in their defense against the novice DDoS attacks of the Anonymous collective. The ball was back in Anonymous's court, and their response was protest. They'd already organised the IRC into channels based on city locations, and so they scheduled what they referred to as making the internet go outside. They used this as an opportunity for more marketing by essentially leaking protest dates and locations to media outlets and told people to wear masks while heading to the Scientology church locations. The results of this were originally nowhere near as impactful as you would expect, but it did show a willingness within the community to really put themselves out there for this cause, which was still lacking in real direction and more of a joke than any real threat. Over the coming months, though, over 7,000 people showed up across 70 different cities during the protest. Definitely not a small number, and considering the level of engagement would be considerably lower than that of the people willing to participate online, it was a scary thought as to how many people were backing this collective and just how many people were anonymous. This is also where the Masks from V for Vendetta was co-opted and popularized as a symbol of Anon, which went together perfectly with their new mantra.
We are anonymous. We are legion. Expect us.
At this stage, the more ambitious voices in the movement had started to notice the power they could wield if they were only to get organized. A French PhD student known as Hausch sent out a scout to survey each of the hundreds of IRC channels who acted as a splinter cell of the collective, finding which of the voices within commanded the most respect, then inviting them to join a more private group who would hopefully decide the future of the movement behind the scenes. Meetings began to be hosted regularly for hours at a time, but pretty soon they discovered that there was no real way to properly organize such a group. Infighting started almost immediately. The leadership group was then leaked to the masses, and generally people were bored with the low levels of impact they were actually having on the Church of Scientology. It didn't help, as well, that the FBI had already scooped up and arrested 2 people out of the thousands who had performed some of the earliest DDoS attacks some months ago, putting everyone on notice that involvement in this matter was not a joke, and there could be very, very real, life-changing consequences. In one of these cases, the church sued a college kid for $100,000 in damages for his part in the DDoS, which was eventually lowered to $20,000, which he was ordered to pay back in full. They also pushed for a 12-month jail sentence to deter others, with the lawyer claiming Anonymous resembled Nazis and terrorists. The young man did eventually plead guilty and accept a year in prison. This was the turning point for Anonymous as a collective. Anybody could join, and they could join for any reason. The barrier for entry was simple: be involved, say you are Anonymous, and that's it. The concept of Anonymous is ethereal, and that is exactly what scared security experts. It could be anyone, it could be everyone, and that was terrifying. This was the biggest weapon in the Anonymous arsenal, but also their biggest weakness. What everyone quickly discovered was that anyone being able to claim Anonymous or join the ranks could also rock the whole boat. They could do things that ruin future plans. They could be law enforcement. They could convince others to change.
Senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett has a recap of the day in court.
A highly anticipated courtroom showdown. Prosecutor star witness Michael Cohen, former President Trump's self-described fixer turned fierce critic, telling the jury Mr. Trump directed him to pay off an adult film actress days before the 2016 election to protect his campaign. Everything required Mr. Trump's sign-off, Cohen told the jury, testifying Mr. Trump was furious in 2016 when he learned Stormy Daniels was still trying to sell her story of sex with the former president, telling Cohen, "I thought you had this under control." Cohen explaining he'd managed to suppress Daniels' story years before, but it resurfaced on the heels of the Access Hollywood tape, and Cohen feared if Daniels went public, it would be, quote, catastrophic for the campaign, saying Mr. Trump told him, "Just take care of it. This is a disaster. Women are going to hate me. Guys may think this is cool, but this is going to be a disaster for the campaign." Cohen said Mr. Trump told him he met Daniels at a golf tournament, describing her as a beautiful woman. Mr. Trump has denied he had sex with Daniels and pleaded not guilty to charges of illegally disguising his reimbursement checks to Cohen as legal expenses on his internal books and records. The defense team arguing there was no crime, that Cohen was his personal attorney at the time, handling a personal matter to avoid his family embarrassment. Former Trump aide Hope Hicks previously testifying Mr. Trump did not want newspapers with details of a hush money payment to a different woman delivered to their home. But Cohen suggesting that Mr. Trump wasn't concerned about Melania's reaction. He wasn't thinking about Melania. This was all about the campaign. Cohen adding Mr. Trump told him, "I want you to just push it out as long as you can. Just get past the election, because if I win, it will have no relevance, and if I lose, I don't even care." Cohen testifying that he told Mr. Trump he would pay Daniels as part of a non-disclosure agreement, opting to use money from a home equity line of credit, and Mr. Trump was appreciative, saying words to the effect of, "Don't worry, you'll get the money back." The state trying to show that Daniels' payoff wasn't isolated, but part of a pattern. Cohen admitting he secretly recorded his client while they discussed repaying the National Enquirer, which purchased the story of another woman who said she had sex with Mr. Trump, which he denied.
When it comes time for the financing, which will be this one, we'll have to pay this all.
Prosecutors have presented no direct evidence Mr. Trump knew about or told anyone to falsify business records. So Cohen's credibility here, key, telling jurors Mr. Trump never used email because too many people have gone down once prosecutors obtain their emails. Cohen, now a disbarred attorney who has been convicted for lying under oath, the defense argues he's out for revenge after he didn't get a job in the White House. Cohen testifying he would have liked to have been considered for White House Chief of Staff for his, quote, ego.
There's no blood here. There's no crime here. This is 4 weeks of keeping me from not campaigning.
NBC's Laura Jarrett reporting there. Let's bring in former litigator and MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin. Lisa, good morning. It's good to see you. So Michael Cohen, really in no uncertain terms, explicitly describing how he says this went down, directly ordered by Donald Trump to send the check for $130,000, quoting Donald Trump as saying, "Just do it." Apologies to Nike. So what did we learn yesterday from Michael Cohen?
Michael Cohen testified to a number of conversations really that he had privately with Donald Trump or with other participants, sometimes with David Pecker, for example, other times with Alan Weisselberg. But again and again, Michael Cohen showed that when he said he made these payments in coordination with and at the direction of Donald Trump, he really meant it. You'll recall that yesterday I sat here with both of you and said, I'm interested to see how Michael Cohen fleshes out that phrase, at the direction of. Was that code, meaning did Trump kind of wink, wink, nod, nod, please take care of this, or was he explicit in asking Michael Cohen to make sure that Stormy Daniels got paid, and then also equally explicit in how they were going to account for that through paperwork? Michael Cohen left that unambiguous yesterday. Donald Trump knew he intended for Michael Cohen to pay Stormy Daniels. He intended that Michael Cohen be not only repaid, but paid in a way that left Michael Cohen in good standing, A, with taxes, and B, with a little extra for the bonus that he was stiffed at the end of 2016. And he knew the entire time that it would be papered over as legal expenses. Michael Cohen filled those gaps yesterday.
And Michael Cohen made clear that this, to Donald Trump, according to Michael Cohen's account, was about protecting his election hopes. That it wasn't about protecting his marriage. That was Michael Cohen's assessment anyway, saying this is all about the campaign. Push this past the campaign. If I get elected, nobody cares anymore. How significant is that?
Very significant, because you'll recall the defense wants to say this was about the family. The principal objective here, even if Donald Trump knew about it, principal objective was not for the campaign. There was no conspiracy here to promote Donald Trump's election through unlawful means. Michael Cohen sort of dismantling that. He said at one point he asked Trump, how's this going to go upstairs, meaning when a story broke about Karen McDougal, and Trump said back to him, don't worry about that. How long do you think I'd be on the market for? Not long. So, Trump basically also saying to Cohen, even if my wife is that upset by that, don't worry about that. I'll be taken care of. I'll find another woman other than Melania. That's not a person who's principally concerned with the impact on their family.
So, Lisa, so much has been made of Michael Cohen's credibility issues, and rightly so. I mean, he lied to Congress. He spent time in prison. Just give us your assessment as to how he do yesterday in terms of demeanor. There have been some worry also that he might lose his temper at some point, as he's been known to do. Both his demeanor and was he believable? Did he do what the prosecution wanted?
I think he did, and he was. The best thing I can say about Michael Cohen yesterday is he was humble. He took responsibility for things that he hasn't taken responsibility for in the past, and he did so without being grudging about it. Basically said, for example, he was repaid $50,000, John. When he was repaid for the Stormy Daniels payment, he also got a $50,000 payment for a vendor that Trump had stiffed. He had paid that vendor partially, but not totally, and yet he asked the Trump organization, give me all $50,000. What did he cop to yesterday on the stand? He pocketed the remainder of that. So Michael Cohen taking responsibility yesterday, not only for conduct we already knew about that's been charged, but all sorts of other conduct, including bullying and lying for the former president dozens and dozens of times, not being the best guy, and also copping to basically uncharged criminal conduct yesterday. For example, lying in his statements to First Republic Bank when he was trying to open an LLC account, the vehicle through which he repaid Stormy Daniels. If he can keep that demeanor on cross-examination, maintain that same humility, I think his credibility will be better off than people think. At the same time, I watched your segment earlier this morning with Matt Lewis. We should not delude ourselves. Michael Cohen is not a hero. He is a person who has been complicit in some really bad things in the past. That doesn't mean he's not telling the truth now, but it also doesn't mean that he's an American patriot and hero.
And that, Caddy K, is the foundation of the defense, which we may start to hear later today. We'll have some more direct examination at the beginning of the day, and perhaps cross begins later today. But the foundation of the defense argument is this is not a credible witness, so discount everything you're hearing from him.
Yeah, and that's what's going to be fascinating, right? So he was clearly prepped very carefully for the prosecution's questioning, and he performed well. He managed. This was not the bully that we've heard of. This was not, as Hope Hicks described him, somebody who was kind of self-centered and uncharitable. He came across well. I think the question is going to be, Lisa, how do you get any inclination from how he performed yesterday about how he's going to hold up once he gets under cross, when the pressure is going to be much more, when they're going to try and push his buttons? That's what cross-examination does. That's their whole goal, is to do that with Donald Trump sitting there. As a complete aside, I'm still sort of digesting all the things that Donald Trump said about I won't be on the market for very long, don't worry about me. I don't know how that goes down with women in the jury. But Lisa, do you get a kind of sense of how he's going to hold up under cross?
Patty, it's always impossible to say how much a witness gets rattled. And of course, I watched Michael Cohen's cross-examination in the civil fraud trial where he was incredibly rattled by Alina Habba, particularly where it came to accusations that he has perjured himself in the past. Michael Cohen has maintained, for example, that while he lied to Congress, he was not formally charged with perjury. He also maintains that he made those lies for Donald Trump's behest. If Michael Cohen doesn't insist on semantics today and continues to accept responsibility and even says things like, for example, my ego was hurt when I wasn't considered for chief of staff, but I knew I wasn't qualified for the job. If that's the Michael Cohen who shows up on cross, I think the prosecutors will be in better standing than people think. But again, we all know the Michael Cohen we've seen in the past who showed up on this network time and time again, and many others, the Michael Cohen of his podcast and his books. If that's the guy who appears at cross-examination, that's going to be a different story for the prosecution. So let's see how Michael Cohen performs today. I will say yesterday was the most humble I've ever seen Michael Cohen, and I was pleasantly surprised to see him accept so much responsibility and even take it all on the chin, say that he loved the job that eventually turned out to be a massive disappointment to him, and that's an understatement.
One interesting note among many yesterday in Cohen's testimony is that he ascribed the infamous line locker room talk about the Access Hollywood tape to Melania Trump. Said that line was her idea. MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin. We will see you tomorrow morning. Thanks so much.
To the stand this morning at former President Trump's hush money trial after telling the jury yesterday how he silenced women who claimed to have had sexual encounters with Trump.
It has to be a game changer for both sides because he's the one who really lays out the elements, or he's trying to lay out the elements that the prosecutor needs to prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
Trump is charged with falsifying business records linked to a $130,000 payment to porn actress Stormy Daniels. Prosecutors say the payment, made days before the 2016 election, was to prevent voters from hearing Daniels' story about their alleged affair, which Trump denies. On the stand yesterday, Cohen testified about a scheme with National Enquirer publisher David Pecker, who agreed to publish positive stories about Trump and stop negative ones from coming out, telling the jury that as the 2016 campaign got underway, Trump warned him, be prepared, there's going to be a lot of women coming forward. Cohen testified that when he learned that Stormy Daniels was trying to sell her story, he felt it would be catastrophic for the campaign, saying Trump agreed. He said to me, this is a disaster, a total disaster. Women will hate me. Guys may think it's cool, but this is going to be a disaster for the campaign. Cohen says Trump ordered him to make sure the story didn't get out, testifying Trump wanted to kill the story because of how it would affect his campaign, not his family, as the defense has argued. Cohen said he wired the $130,000 to Daniels.
Cohen fronted the money. He said he fully expected to be paid back, and he took out a home equity line of credit, he said, to his own wife. Wouldn't find out. He told the jury she would not understand if $130,000 went missing from their joint bank account.
Prosecutors say Trump did reimburse Cohen and illegally falsified business records to cover it all up by making it look like a legal expense. Experts say the ultimate test for Cohen will be during the defense's cross-examination. Cohen has spent time in prison for lying to Congress and has admitted to lying on Trump's behalf.
He's basically lying for money, right? That's his boss. So the way you were willing to lie to him when you get a paycheck, well, now the hatred that you have, you're willing to lie against him again here today. That's the kind of spin you got to put on it.
Cohen today is expected to be questioned about those financial documents at the heart of the case before he's cross-examined.
Today we are exploring a massive factory that was once used to process soybeans and later on vegetable oil. It smelled so terrible around the plant because towards the end of its use, it was used to process pig feed. There are reports of serious pollution problems over the years, which is one of the many reasons why it was shut down.
What are these conical things up here? Probably storage or something.
How many levels of stairs are there on that side? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14 from what I can see, but we're still like below that little hill, so it's probably more down.
Oh god, it does smell like shit. Oh. Dude, this is shit on the floor.
No, it's not.
It has to be.
Am I stepping into there now?
Where else could that smell be coming from? It's like cow manure.
I think it is.
Let's not walk through this. It's cow manure or something. Let's find another entrance. A lot of dripping. Oh, it sounds really cool in here. There's all the dripping going on.
Hey, look, Christmas decorations, even here. It looks like a Christmas tree almost, but like a fake one because it's still.
Alright, let's go up here.
Oh, this looks like it used to be a chemical lab in here. This is the lab. It's like cubicle stuff. All for cubicles. There's a lot of books. It's just the floor is filled with like catalogs and stuff. Yeah.
Where they kept their money. Somebody actually broke into it thinking they would have left money behind.
There's filing cabinets.
I'm trying not to get those strips around here. Just a lot of filing cabinets. The roof of this building has like at least 2 inches of water above our heads right now.
Look at the ledges down here. Holy shit. Look, catacombs. Oh my god. These are some of the thickest cobbles I've ever seen. Oh, it smells bad. And it's completely flooded. This is completely flooded. Look at these webs. And it smells like manure. I'll get the fuck out of here. What are these bugs called? What? I know they're like, obviously I have a name, but scary fuckers. There's a bunch of them in the web.
That's probably the nastiest fucking water. You want to go this way? There's a monitor in here. I just want to see this monitor. Oh, it's slippery. So this is possibly the control room, and if so, it's been so trashed that we can't even recognize it anymore from the pictures we've seen. But if you look under there, are there gauges and stuff though? Because I know there being meters and gauges. Yeah. I don't see those here.
This place to my office is over here.
Oh, it's closed in 2001.
Well, that's the end of November 2000.
Oh, that's the manure shit again. Yep, I smelled it as soon as I got near it.
This place is pretty crafty. Literally.
Alright, well, I don't want to go farther into this one. Let's get out of here. We can probably get in down there. You know, all this water dripping has been through, 15 stories of shit before getting down to this level. It's all over the floor. In here, you can smell it too. It's not, I don't think it's literal shit, but it's whatever they were processing in here smells absolutely terrible.
This is what shit was when we first started.
Yeah. There's a place with a bunch of giant silos. Let's see if we can find a concealed staircase in here. I think I see one inside. Yep, this entire place does. There's stairs in here. Flooded basement. And some bright green stuff. Oh, hazardous human health. Alright, that's a ladder. Oh! This is the... I wasn't thinking it was for the employees. You stand on this thing and it takes you up. You think so? Yes. I've seen these before. This is the elevator. Well, once we get up to these stairs, I think we can take stairs the rest of the way, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's go up the ladder. Hopefully it's not cold and shit. What the fuck?
Who designs a staircase like that?
That's fucking scary.
I want you to contact OSHA about this. Let's go squeeze. Uh-oh. I made it. Yeah. Too bad this thing doesn't work. That'd be fun.
Video of the guy in the factory that had this, and he got on the top floor and grabbed it, took him all the way down.
Wow.
This one is like locked.
Oh shit. This is fucking sketchy. This one moves like that. Yeah. A gear?
We can go over that. Just put your feet in the hole.
Alright, we're on floor with actual stuff.
Oh shit.
Even up here? Jesus. I mean, it looks pretty cool up here. It's a nice view from up there on the mountains. I'm being real careful where we step. There's big holes everywhere. Look at this conveyor belt thing. It has wheels and it roll on the rail. And it'll collect stuff from this pipe above us. Is there any place in here that doesn't smell like shit? Holy cow, this place is rank. I just tasted it. Should I put my respirator on? I know my respirator will make it not smell like shit. It'll taste like shit. Every time I talk, I taste it. Wow. Probably one of the biggest empty rooms I've ever seen. There's so many pitfalls.
You'd be fucked if you fell in there. Be really careful. Like, constantly look down more than you look ahead, for sure. Like, every single footstep, you should be looking down. Yeah, people have. Look at this wire swinging. Try to go semi-quick just to like super out in the open. Oh man.
They're collecting up here.
So what's that up there? There's a floor. You want to get up to that level? Alright, guess we gotta go up one more. Is there a door over there or something? No, right here. Let's go up. Oh shit, look at those stairs. It's fucking scary. There's nowhere to go here. The only place we can go is the place where the stairs are broken. And I am not doing that.
Not wanting to go up that route.
Yeah, we can't get up there because the stairs are fucking way too sketchy. This place is a death trap. Oh. It's a nice echo in here. Down over the big ass skew again. If that falls, I don't know what the biggest noise. Time to go through the squeezer again. Ooh. That is tight. Follow the trail around. I bet they used to have way easier to use stairs out here, but they all got ripped out for some reason. Alright, we're going to try and get into these conical buildings over here. Could be a cool echo in there.
Pretty light.
There's a face. Creepy dude. I wonder how it's gonna smell.
But like, part of me, I'm kind of hating on them. You know what I mean? Because I got this new case, and I'm in the hole with this new ticket. My people are leaving me, so I'm going to be stuck here by myself. But that's what you get when you crash out, right?
Yeah.
So we got to ride out the ticket. We head over to, when I get out the hole, they send me to 240D. That's a pre-trial unit. It's the mixed unit, state, federal, and
I mean, you're in there for state charges right now?
Well, it's state charges. I'm not indicted yet though. So it's still in district court. I'm waiting to see if they're gonna send it to the grand jury to get me indicted. So mind you, I have my co-defendant has already told on me, and then the kid who we got those little air guns from, he's already told the cops that he gave us these guns to go do this robbery, but he wasn't with us for the robbery. So I already have two people that are, that are making it a lot harder for me, right?
Yeah.
The third kid that was with us, he kept his mouth shut though. So I get sent over to 240B, and right when I walk in, it feels instantly. So people who don't know, if you've never been to prison before, you've never been locked up at all. Every unit, every jail I've been to, speaking for me, you get a certain feel. So right away, I like to go in and just observe, see how people are moving, see how the block moves. Is it, more older dudes? Is it generally like a younger crowd? Because that's going to dictate how the block is going to move. Is there a lot of gambling going on? How are the COs on the block? Things like that. So, right, like just a few seconds, just checking in right at the CO's desk. And it just feels, like I said, it's more alive. The sunlight's coming in, because coming from the hole, that's the 120 building. 120A is obviously the hole is sucks, but 120B is no better. This is gang block, and runs real similar, you know what I'm saying? It feels real similar, is what I'm saying. They have split tier recs, so top tier will come out, then bottom tier will come out. I'm more optimistic about, being up here on 240 side, right? And my celly, so they linked me up with this Puerto Rican dude from, he said he's from New York, so let's call him BX. And BX is just one of them, like, straight vice game type cellies, you know what I mean? He doesn't have much, he shaves his head and, washes the entire cell with the toilet water. So, like, the way this dude, he's one of them just straight animals.
Young dude?
He's older than me. So he's been in and out, according to his story that he's done time. He knows how to bid. And he loves to talk about, how much this is his cell, and he's got rules that he's laying on me right off rip.
No.
And I'm cool with that. Well, like, this is how I bid, pretty much. You know what I mean? He's not telling me, like, you have to follow these, but he's basically kind of saying, this is how I do my routine. You know what I'm saying? I like to clean cell and this. But like I said, his version of clean is washing it with toilet water. He sticks his sponge right in there and just starts washing it on the wall. On the little table that we're going to chop up our meats and our cheeses to make meals later. Yeah, that's toilet water. So I'm already like, man, I obviously don't know this right off the top.
Nah, man, I can't deal with that.
But he's one of those dudes. Just to give you a quick idea.
And this is jail. 2-man cell?
2-man cell. And, like, it's not a crazy block. Like it's not like that. It's not much happening. It's just regular jail. You just nothing exciting happening, right? But my celly's a weirdo. So I get stuck with this dude. We kind of bicker. So it was like, I couldn't wait to get out of there. But you couldn't switch cells unless you had a problem with your celly. So you had to literally tell the CO that, me and my celly aren't getting along and we got to separate. So that's basically some PT shit. I was about to do that. So I subbed it out until I went to court. But the whole point of this, and you can definitely cut a lot of this out because this is the only part that really matters about it, in my opinion.
All right.
So I mentioned the spirituality thing right before we got cut off last time. And one night I'm watching TV up on D-side. And this sort of black guy standing there. The guy went out to court that morning, was just coming back in. And so I'm standing there watching TV. So just randomly comes over to me. He's like, excuse me, brother. I don't mean to bother you, man. I know we never spoke or anything. But I just got this message from God telling me basically to come speak to you. Like, you need to hear what I'm about to say. So, I don't know what you're here for. I don't want to know what you're here for. It's none of my business. But I have an armed robbery. I had an armed robbery when I went to court today. I've been up here fighting this case for however long, and when I've been in and out, so I'm just tired of doing the same thing, right? I copped out to all my other shit. I decided I'm taking this one to trial. You know what I'm saying? Like, told my lawyer right away, we're going to trial. Now, they had me dead to rights. He's telling me, right? I'm following along because I'm in a similar situation right now. So I'm all in. He's like, yeah, man, they had me red-handed, robbing this bank. I'm on camera, gun in my hand, no mask. You can visibly see that it's my face on camera. So he said, today, I took you to the trial. I go to court. I told God, if you let me off this one, I'll never do crime again. Like, this is my last time. I'm gonna just live straight, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yeah, bro, I get it, right? He's like, well, I went to court today, and they acquitted me. I was acquitted of all charges. I'm going home tonight. I'm waiting for my wife to come pick me up. I guess he had some other cases holding him. He had to bail out, though. But that armed robbery, he beat it, right? So I'm like, oh, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Congratulations, bro. And that's dope. He's like, hey, man, pray. And I'm like, well, a little bit, but, I believe in God, pretty much. He's like, you have a Bible? Like, nah, I don't got a Bible. Hey, come with me. So, brings him to his old self, because he's leaving, and gives me this little, I was going to bring it. I got it. It's at the house. Little Bible. You know the little jail Bibles they give you, little free, like leather, fake leather. Did they give those?
Yeah, a little pocket bag.
Virginia. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The mini Bibles. He gives me one of those. Tells me to read it. But he's like, listen, when you read this, when you talk to God, when you pray, don't do it so everybody can see you. You know what I mean? Don't be safe about it. Find a quiet place where you can just go off by yourself, and it's just you and him one-on-one. That way you and God both know that it's pure. It's coming from a real place. I'm like, yeah, I get it. So he leaves. He goes home, gets bailed out, watching him leave, I'm just like, damn, I want to go home. So bad. So bad. I'm picturing the routine, like maybe he's going to go. First thing he's going to do, he's going to hop in the car, maybe if he smokes, he's going to smoke a cigarette, go get something to eat, go drink a coffee, whatever, a beer, get some, right? Like, I'm picturing all this, and then I look up and see my cell's empty. My crazy ass cell, he's not in the cell right now. I'm gone. Jump up, run up the stairs, I'm going to go pray my way out of jail. So, I go in the cell, right? I shut the lights off, walk to the end, and we're up on the top floor. So it's like overlooking, you can see like the Boston skyline and shit. The view's nice at night, but there's enough light coming in where you can actually read, standing at the window. Bust the Bible open, just random. And the verse I busted it open to was exactly what this dude was just basically saying to me, right? Of like, it's Matthew 6 is the verse. If anybody, because I know nothing about the Bible, never read it. I've never even been to church. But I looked it up to see it. It's Matthew 6. And like almost word for word though. When you pray, don't be a hypocrite. Don't be like the hypocrites who have to make a spectacle of themselves, standing on a soapbox, showing everybody. But, no bull, right? So I'm blown away, right? The hairs on my arms are sticking up right now because I'm like, I'm hooked. I instantly believe what he just told me is 100% real. So I'm like, poof. Even get to a part where it mentions fasting. So like I tried fasting, like in jail starving, 140 pounds. Like I couldn't afford to be skipping meals, but this is what it's telling me to do.
People that were on the ground in the room say that he was pretty quiet. So again, it really it could go so many different ways. But now that Michael Cohen is on the stand, this is what we've been waiting for since testimony began on April 22nd.
So, Michael Cohen, we know there's no love lost between him and Donald Trump, although, of course, they used to work very closely, and Michael Cohen used to defend him in all sorts of ways many years ago. What did we learn from Michael Cohen? Was he settling scores, or did we actually learn anything new and useful?
Yeah, so we didn't really know what version of Michael Cohen to expect coming into today. He's been very vocal on social media and sharing his hot takes on the Trump trial, on TikTok specifically. He posted one where he had that T-shirt with an image of Trump locked up behind bars, kind of making his stance very clear before he took the stand. So we didn't know if we were going to get that wild coming out swinging Michael Cohen or if we were going to have a more cool, calm, collected. And we did actually see the latter. And we do know that this is the most highly anticipated witness to take the stand. And so today we learned from Michael Cohen, which prosecutors have to take everything he says with a grain of salt due to his history with Trump. But he did say, and I think this is the biggest takeaway from Monday's testimony, is that Trump was heavily involved in everything, in every decision that was made. Michael Cohen says that he did everything at Trump's directing. So, and that includes this hush money payment made to Stormy Daniels on Trump's behalf. So that, I think, is really the biggest takeaway here. Obviously, again, prosecutors have to take all of this with a grain of salt, given the contentious history between Michael Cohen and Donald Trump. But we know that Trump was involved.
And what about, we'll come to Michael Cohen in a second, actually, about his kind of past kind of demeanor. But a leading American lawyer told us last week that there were some concerns that this could actually end up in a mistrial because of the amount of prejudicial information about Donald Trump that has got into court. Is that something that's in the background as a reality? Are people kind of aware of this as a possibility?
I think so. I think, again, the prosecutors really have a tough job. They have to determine who's telling the truth, what actually happened. And given that Michael Cohen's testimony really is the central piece here, I think this is also the trickiest part of the case, is for them to decipher through what Michael Cohen is alleging that is maybe emotion-based. And we did, hear him say today that he had a fantastic time working for the Trump organization, and he called it a big family. And, again, he's been regarded as this fixer to foe kind of persona that he's taken on in Donald Trump's life. So, again, there's so much information, and it could be a mistrial. It really depends on what jurors.
And she goes, "We're going to go film a riot. We're going to Lake Street." Well, I don't think he did.
How do you think he gets that hair? Come on.
It's true.
I'm just asking questions.
High confidence hair. Look into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, no, he's a well put together, sexy young man. The hair came later.
Yeah, was Albert Einstein attractive as a teenager? Not a teenager. Was he attractive as a young man?
Sexually attractive.
I'm
turned on by Einstein at all ages. I don't discriminate.
But are you more turned on by the work that he did or his physical being?
No, sometimes I fantasize what it would be like to be in the arms of Einstein. I could even get that out.
Yeah. In the arms of Einstein.
Yeah, just I want to feel safe.
It's a good idea for a rom-com.
To be a little more serious, like general relativity, that space, time can be unified and curved by gravity is an incredibly wild and difficult idea to come up with. Like, it's a really, really difficult thing to imagine, given how well Newtonian classical mechanics physics works for predicting how stuff happens on Earth. To think that gravity can morph space-time, both space and time, and it permeates the entire universe. It's a field. It's a really wild idea to come up with. One human on Earth to intuit that is really, really, really difficult. And it's really sad to me that he didn't get a Nobel Prize for that.
Was there people saying he was crazy when he was around? Or was he universally recognized as like an OG?
No, I think once the papers came out, he was widely recognized as a true genius. But before that, he wasn't recognized. He had a really difficult.
So back now, where does a black hole go? Like after something gets sucked into it?
You mean is it a portal to another place, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
No. Well, we don't know. It could be. It could be that the universe is kind of like Swiss cheese full of black holes. There's something called Hawking radiation, where because of quantum mechanics, the information leaks out of a black hole, so it is possible to escape a black hole. There's a lot of interesting questions there.
I hope we get to the bottom of that.
And there's a supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy. which doesn't seem to scare physicists, but it terrifies me.
Oh yeah, for sure. Astronomy can be terrifying.
Yeah, we're all like orbiting. I mean, we're not just orbiting the sun, but the sun is part of the solar system, is part of the galaxy, and it's all orbiting a gigantic black hole.
Have you ever spoke to someone who's been to outer space?
Jeff Bezos. He flew his own rocket.
Wow.
But cool. Astronaut has been to deep space now. Or maybe I've spoken to an alien that just hasn't admitted it.
I want to do a research paper or like a report about space madness. You know, it's supposed to be this like torturous feeling that you get when you look away from Earth and into the abyss after you've exited Earth's orbit or whatever. Because there's one specific psychiatrist who knows how to deal with space madness, and I want to figure out how and interview people with it.
Is this a real thing? Like, is there a Wikipedia article on it?
Yes, look up space madness treatment.
Well, now I don't trust Wikipedia after what you told me, so.
I know, they think I hate classes.
I thought you meant more about the fact that you're isolated out in space, like we need social connection, and it's difficult.
Yeah, I think it's the feeling of extreme insignificance that you might get sometimes when you look at the night sky, but it's that times 1,000. It's like an existential void that's created after looking into the abyss and then realizing how small Earth is in the grand scheme. You just start to really have a strange new perception about the pointlessness of existence.
I don't need to go to space for that.
I mean, only a handful of people have been to space, but I'm sure they're all pretty well off, so this psychiatrist has to be like in the multi-millions.
Well, technically we're all in space because Earth is in space, but so I wonder if you have to go to space to talk to the psychiatrist.
Yeah, probably so.
Well, technically we're all in space, so you can't. That's a boundary you can't have.
But not everyone believes that, as you've seen from my work, probably.
You're right, and those are important people that are asking important questions.
Yeah.
You hitchhiked across the U.S. for 70 days when you were 19.
Right.
Tell the story of that.
Well, this sort of connects to what I was talking about with the boredom of school and these Common Core classes. So after my first year of school, where I lived in the dorms, like an old school dormitory building at a school in New Orleans called Loyola University, I wanted to just do something. I felt so bored. I was working for the school newspaper for that whole first year. It was called The Maroon, and I didn't have the ability to write my own stories. Like, I had to defer to an older editor, and they would give me stories to write about, and they were all about like on-campus happenings, like the Pope visits New Orleans, or glass recycling to be restored in the French Quarter, or hoverboards banned on campus due to safety concerns. And it just kind of felt like, all right, well, I kind of wanted to be a gonzo reporter. I'm not sure if working my way up through the traditional newsroom hierarchy is going to get me to that point. So I started reading a bunch of old hobo literature, you know, like post-World War II vagabonding stuff. And there was this book called Vagabonding in America by an old hobo named Ed Byrne. And I read this, and it just basically, obviously some of it was outdated. They had stuff in there like the hobo code, like, oh, this moniker on the side of a fence means this person has free soup or something like that. They didn't have stuff like that. But what it did tell me, it told me about train stop towns like Dunsmuir and, you know, places in Montana where there was a friendly attitude toward drifters, and that still persists from the 60s and 70s to this day, even though, in my opinion, movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre have ruined hitchhiking culture in America because now everyone thinks you're going to, you know, decapitate them if they pick you up. So after my final day of courses at Loyola, I literally left all of my belongings inside my dorm and took the streetcar to the Greyhound station, got a one-way ticket to Baton Rouge, and I was like, I'm going to hitchhike across the whole country back to Seattle with no money. And that was the plan, and it worked out.
I love it.
Yeah.
I traveled across the United States before in a similar kind of plan.
Were you on the Silver Dog? It's a Greyhound bus.
Greyhound is pretty nice.
That's a step above hitchhiking.
Yeah, that's way better than hitchhiking.
Greyhound, Amtrak, Airline.
Amtrak, no, that's elitist.
What's in between Greyhound and Amtrak?
A car. That's what it is. Yeah, it's a car. Yeah, a shitty car.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I lived in a shitty car.
You lived in a car?
Yeah, when I was
nice.
driving across the United States. Yeah.
Solo?
With a friend, some solo.
Mm-hmm.
And I would eat cold soup.
I love cold soup. And what I like is the cold chickpeas in a can. You get the water out and just dump them in your mouth.
Yeah.
Those are good. Beef jerky, Kind bars. Kind bars are really good for the road.
Yeah. I mean, all of that is great, but too much of it is not great. Like, too much cold soup, not great. Too much beef jerky,
So what was the route you took? Was it Chicago across or was it Philadelphia across?
Philadelphia across.
To LA or where?
San Diego is where we ended up, but it was a zigzagging, went up to Chicago and then all the way down to Texas.
So you went to Philly, through Appalachia, up to the Midwest.
Yep.
Did you cut over like through the Southwest down to San Diego?
No, went straight down to Texas, all the way down to the Midwest.
So did you cut from Texas west through New Mexico and Arizona to get to San Diego?
Yeah.
That is the best road trip place. Interstate 40, like Albuquerque, Flagstaff, Vegas, Kingman, the Mojave Desert, Yuma, doesn't get better.
Yeah, I mean, and you're kids, so you don't care, and you're throwing caution to the wind, and you met some crazy people.
It gives me some sanity, like whenever I'm feeling kind of out of control or, like bummed out. I just remember that the road is still out there. The open road never goes anywhere, and it's kind of like I see like an invisible door in the corner of the room all the time that makes me more comfortable because I'm like, hey, at the end of the day, if I'm bummed out, I can go hit the road, and I'm sure there's going to be a fun time ahead.
Yeah, get that Greyhound ticket and go.
I would say Silver Dog half because sometimes I gotta ride the dog when no one will pick me up. There's some places in the country where no one's gonna pick you up.
Yeah,
Kansas, Missouri, they're not gonna do it.
Maybe not charming enough. You thought about that?
I was 19, fresh, clean shaven.
Yeah.
I was pretty charming, I'd say. But the older you get, the harder it is to hitchhike because they think you're like an escaped convict or some type of like psycho wanderer. And some of these people are like what we call punishers, people who never stop talking. And so they see someone hitchhiking and they're like, yes, I'm going to talk at this person.
Yeah.
And you can tell their eyes are wide. They're like, what's up? And you're like, oh, shit. So it's 6 hours of just like, oh, cool, nice.
That's rough.
Yeah.
You're right. I like people that are comfortable in silence.
Yeah. And then that also raises the question, are they about to kill me? You know what I mean?
I think that's a you problem, not a...
You know what's funny is almost everybody who picked me up when I was hitchhiking, it was like a day laborer. Like it was almost all Mexican day laborers who picked me up.
Oh, interesting.
Because I think that like in some places down there, that's a typical thing to do. Hitchhike to work. A lot of people don't have cars, but they still have to get to their jobs. So a lot of people ask me, hey, where should I drop you off? Where's your job at? And I'm like, my job is to explore. And they were down with it.
See, like for me, it was really easy because you just say like, I'm traveling across the United States. And I think people love that idea. And they want to help. They romanticize because they also have that invisible door. Everybody has that invisible door. I just want to go.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
it can anchor you a bit, just to remind you that every pattern that I've fallen into is voluntary and it's for my own stability and mental health.
Well, that's why I'm like renting everything, and I'm making sure like tomorrow I can just go. I gave away everything I own twice in my life. It's very like I'm ready to go tonight. Let's go.
What's the hardest item you've had to part with in this experience?
There's nothing.
You've never had a material object that was really hard to let go of? No. So you give that watch to somebody.
No, you're right. You're right. That's probably the only. I've never had to let go of that though. Yeah. That's the only thing I own. This would mean a lot to me, but everything else. But then again, listen, because this watch is given to me by Rogan, who's become a close friend. But like whenever I romanticize the notion that this watch means a lot to me, like don't worry about it. I'll just get you the same one again.
Yeah.
Like I got you.
It's pretty sick ass gift though.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. I'm not usually a gift guy, but when somebody you look up to kind of gives you a thing, it's a nice little symbol of that relationship. So, but other than that, no. But even this, like whatever. The relationship is what matters. The human is what matters, not the...
I agree 100%.
You had something like this?
Not really. I mean, there was a hard drive that I lost that had all of my like childhood pictures on it and stuff like that I think about all the time because I left it on a train. And like certain memories, you think about it, you just get pissed off and think to myself, someone has that somewhere. I have dreams about reuniting with the hard drive.
You and Hunter Biden have a similar thing.
I don't think he wants to reunite with that one.
Okay.
Dude, it's crazy, like, all he did was smoke crack, right? Or was there more stuff going on?
I think there's prostitutes involved.
Oh, okay, whatever.
I think you got to look into it.
I think I have to look into it.
I don't know. Was Kerouac, Jack Kerouac, somebody that was an inspiration at all in the field trip? Did you even know who that is? The Beat Generation?
I didn't know who it was, and then after I did ultimately I wrote a book about my hitchhiking experience years later, and everyone was like, have you read On the Road? And then On the Road, I probably heard the title of that book every day at least 10 times for 2 years. And I'm sure Kerouac is a great guy. I mean, I'm not too familiar with the Beat Generation.
It's a great book. It's you read it or no?
I refuse to read it. People even have gifted it to me and been like, hey man, you're going to love this one. And I'm like, is that on the road? Honestly, people have given me a book with wrapping paper on it, and they're like, this is Reddit Valley. I was like, that's fucking on the road, isn't it?
And they give you a different cover.
Yeah, no, I'm like, anything but that. But I'm sure it's a great book. It's just the comparison thing drives me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So with big respect to Kerouac, I would never speak down on anyone in the Beat Generation.
What are some interesting moments you remember from those 70 days?
Man, it was so nice. I mean, getting mistaken for a gay prostitute on my first hitchhiking ride in Louisiana was pretty funny.
Where did you come from and where did you go?
Well, I mean, the journey began in Baton Rouge, and the first destination was Houston, which is about 4.5 hours west on Interstate 10. So I'm in Crowley, Louisiana. I'm on the side of the road, and I guess this was a cruising truck stop. It was known for being a place where male lot lizards would go to procure clients. And I was there.
Lot lizards are...
It's a derogatory term in trucker culture for a prostitute who hangs out at the Loves or Pilot's Flying J. Large interstate truck stops. Now, trucker culture, as it once was, is pretty much finished because of the live stream cameras they have inside of the trucks now, so you can't snort Sudafed or pick up anybody. You can't even pick up a hitchhiker, or you get fired.
Kills all the romance.
Yeah, definitely. The old school outlaw trucker lifestyle, unless you're an owner-operator who's not even in a union, which is like a real cowboy way to haul loads, you can't do that.
You were mistaken for a lot lizard.
I was mistaken for a lot lizard by a small man from Honduras with a spiky leather jacket covered in studs.
Nice.
Didn't speak any English, but, I thought he was just, a nice guy. And then he pulled over at there's private theaters in the South where they have confessional booths set up, and they have 3 channels, and people go in there and,
porn?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. People go in there and, please themselves. Yeah. Uh-huh. So I thought he was taking me to one of those. And I was like, all right, cool, man. Yeah, if this guy wants to go jerk off, I'm just going to wait in the car. It's all good. I don't discriminate. But then I was like, he buys a booth for me. And I'm like, okay, but I'm not really in the mood to watch porn with this random guy. So he gets in the same booth as me. And he starts jerking off right next to me. I'm like, oh, man, I don't think this is chill. I'm like, dude, can you stop? He stopped jacking off, and he's like, what do you mean? I thought this is what you want to do. I have money for you. What's that? And I was like, oh, no, I'm just a regular guy. Yeah. He was super cool about it. He started laughing. He's like, oh, my bad, man. I thought you were, selling something. I said, no. And he said, oh, it's all good. And he gave me a ride all the way to Houston.
That's great.
Yeah, we talked about anything except that for the rest of the car ride.
That's great. He just rolled with it. Oh, sorry about that.
I had about a foot and a half on this guy, so I wasn't too scared. I also had a knife in my pocket, but I didn't want to stab him, especially not at a place like that.
And you were still, that didn't leave a bad taste in your mouth.
Well, I figured that can't happen again. It can't keep happening. So I was like, all right, if I got this out of the way the first ride, the following rides are going to be spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, who among us have not been mistaken for a lot lizard?
It's a fact. You heard it here first.
What else? What are some interesting, beautiful people that you've met?
Well, I used to have couch surfing to find places to stay. Now you can only submit 5 couch surfing requests a day unless you're a premium member, which means you also host people.
Couch surfing still on?
Yeah, totally. Oh, but it evolves obviously into a different thing.
Airbnb is a kind of competitor to that, right?
Couch surfing is free though.
Right.
So couch surfing, they call it the CS community. So basically there'd be these couch surfing super hosts in different cities. There was one in Santa Fe, this firefighter dude who had 15 other couch surfers there chilling.
Nice.
So I would do it everywhere. A lot of them were Catholics.
Mm-hmm.
So it was their way of giving back. A lot of them were nudists. And so I didn't realize that there's a small little section at the bottom of someone's couch surfing profile that says clothing optional.
Yes.
And that means if you go there, I thought it meant it's cool if you walk to the bathroom in your underwear. No. If you go there, everyone's going to be butt naked. Mm-hmm. So I made that mistake a few times. Not that I'm anti-nudist, but I didn't want to, I wasn't ready to take that leap of faith. And, it was just great. Couch surfing hosts were amazing.
Yeah.
But that was just great. It was this constant thing where I felt like, wow, people are so welcoming. I'm not having to pay them $1 for this experience.
Yeah, I love couch surfing. Yeah. For me being an introvert, just crashing on a person's couch, being
essentially forced into a great conversation is great.
Yeah. The one thing that's exhausting about hitchhiking is constantly thanking people, being in like sort of constant superficial gratitude everywhere all the time. Like, oh, thanks for letting me sleep on your couch. Thanks for the food.
Yeah.
Part of the reason I wanted to live in an RV later in life is to avoid having to constantly live in this like, thanks so much type of frequency, because it's exhausting to constantly, hey man, thanks.
I think the shallowness of that interaction is exhausting, not just not the thanks.
Yeah, it was a true favor. Of course, I love giving people gratitude for that, but just this thing where everyone who picks you up is, you get 8 rides a day, you're like thanking 8 people a day like they're the second coming of Jesus. You start to feel a little bit debased.
What did you learn about people from that journey? That's your first time really kind of going into it.
The American public is just so kind overall. I mean, they're so like embracing, depending on who you are. And specifically though, the Christian family people of the U.S. who drive in minivans and have that fish sticker on the back where it's like Jesus fish, and then they have the family sticker, where each member of the family is a stick figure. Those people never picked me up and would flip me off with their whole family. Sometimes they would throw full Dr. Peppers at me as a family while I stood on the side of the road.
The family.
They would yell shit like, go to hell, hippie, when I was on the side of the road. And so it's weird that the most charitable Christian American family values people never gave me any charity or even conversation. They were antagonizing me and saw me as like a